Let's bring out our guest.
What is that?
No.
Come on. Explain yourself.
He's here promoting his upcoming Comedy Central special, which was last month, but he had to reschedule. So please welcome Ron Funches.
Yay!
What's up, Ron?
Hi, Jeff.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little. I've been traveling and I'm a little sleepy, but I'm kind of in that Ron Funches kind of mellow zone.
That's a good zone to be in.
Are you actually this mellow, or is this like a put on? Like, do you? Is Ron Funches actually this much Funches?
I mean, I didn't enjoy that pun. I don't go with everything.
I aspire to be in that mellow zone that you're in.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
How would we ever know if you were silently raging, though?
I guess you wouldn't, because I'll be silent unless you were in tune with me.
Like a lot of people who are less, I think, pleasant than you. A lot of people less pleasant than you. If we were to act like you usually do, like it would. For us, of the less pleasant variety, it might be a warning sign that we were upset about something. Does that make sense?
Oh, if you were to act like me?
Yeah, if we were like so osmotically kind of like permeable. Like you're always like, "Hey, Ron, how you doing?" "I'm doing good. I'm fine." And it's like if someone asked me how I'm doing and I said that, it might mean that I was very upset.
Might mean you'd hit that lady with your car.
Yeah.
I got a body to bury. I'm okay.
Ron, did we talk about this before on the show? I was behind you at an airport, and I thought it was you, but you were in front of me, so I didn't see your face. But I think that's Ron. And you got stopped by airport security, and you got the full Monty. You got pat down the whole thing, and you were the only non-white person at that airport. I don't even remember where it was, maybe Washington or something. And you got the whole thing, and you were just chill and fucking groovy, like I would have been fucking pissed off. You just like let it happen. And,
Well, I mean, I'm usually pretty chill about it because I do have drugs with me. So.
So you got to play it cool.
Yeah. That's always the thing that makes me laugh. I'm always like, oh, you guys are so thorough.
Was there a transition for you? Were you, as a 6-year-old child on the playground, were you easygoing and pleasant and giggly and cuddly? Or did you have a come to Jesus like John the Baptist, holy shit? Like, if we flash back to you, there's an origin story where you're like putting thumbtacks under frogs. And...
What?
It's something John the Baptist did. I guess.
Hey, Rob.
No one's supposed to unpack my language that much. I just to get the general gist of the question.
Yeah, people usually just go with whatever you say.
Yeah, what are you guys, Pete Holmes or something? You're like listening to what I ask and revealing that it makes no sense? I mean, my question is like, were you always
learned habit, or is this just who I am?
Or have you gone through epiphanies, thresholds?
I think, everybody does. Everybody goes through growth, personal change as people, and I've gone through enough. I think I have enough personal traumas. Like, my life's never been like easy. So like, I have single parent. My mom's a single parent, and we moved from LA to Chicago and lived in a rough area. And then my mom was in like an abusive relationship and
with you.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But
all right, not a funny joke.
Yeah, it's not a good. I mean, just let things.
I cast
land.
a wide net. Sometimes they're hilarious.
Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta pick your moment.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
You all the
Don't
time you have
ask
to
me
pick
a
your moment.
question and then undercut my life. Tell me the deep, dark secrets about who makes you who you are. And then also, I'm going to make a bad joke.
Fart. You mean you ate a fart in front of you eat a fart sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got what I deserved. Let it go and keep answering.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just stuff like that, and then my life, and then my son, and and my son had some very young when he was 20, and then he found out he had autism by the time I was 22, and that kind of was just like, I think I just had enough things kind of tweak my brain where I was like, oh, I know what I want to do, and I'm gonna just try to do this, and once I started getting a little, it wasn't always good. I was, in my early 20s, I wasn't like a great person. I didn't know what I was doing. I was afloat, just kind of being like a shitty nerd, when you're like, oh, but I get picked on and things have been bad for me, so my life owes me shit,
Right.
And then I just had a point where I realized like nothing was coming to me. I had to go and get whatever I was going to get. And,
Were there any moments like that you remember where that were like external stimulations, whether they were like events or conversations, where you were like, oh, and from that, and then that's when I realized, oh shit, I've been doing this way, and I should do it this way now instead. Like were there any like defining moments? Is what I don't know.
I mean,
Is what I'll undercut, and then I'll
I mean, the moment that I think that put me into like high gear and my most motivating moment was a little bit after I found out my son was diagnosed with autism, and then I went into this park that I had always taken my son to when he was young or younger, because he was 2 at the time he was diagnosed, so I'm just like 1. Or this is also the same park that I used to smoke weed in when I was in high school, and me and my girlfriend would just go hang out and make out there, who eventually was my ex-wife, and we're there, and we find out that we're just kind of shell shocked and just kind of talking about it, and then we see like a group of disabled adults and their caretakers kind of pull up to the park as well, and the way that the caretakers spoke to them and treated them was very dismissive and very cruel, and you treated them more like if they were prisoners than people to be looked after. And at that point, I was like, oh, I have to figure out a career. I have to figure out something. This is bigger than me and whatever I'm doing. Like,
This is before that you started doing comedy?
Yeah.
So. And then you chose comedy out of that epiphany?
Yeah.
So were you? I just want to unpack.
It's weird
that,
for you
that
guys
moment.
to be on each side like this.
Well, that just focusing in on that moment, just to understand it. This caretaker's being flippant, abusive, whatever
Just
word
very
you want to use.
as if they were like prisoners.
Then were
yelling
you,
at them.
Was your epiphany because you felt like, oh, that's a shitty person, and then did you see a little bit of like, oh, I've been a shitty person to other people, or were you thinking like, I never want to be that person?
I was more like, I don't want to be like that, and it was more like I don't want that for my son, and it was. I guess I'm not really following doing your thing. This was more motivating than me as a person. I think that anything that's me as a person has been just.
Well, no, wait, no, that's good.
You like this story?
That's good that you're, because I'm a narcissist, so I'm thinking about filing things through.
Oh, you're a narcissist?
Yeah, really? Shocked.
You told a story about you almost killed a lady, and you were like, I could have been late.
Yeah. She shouldn't have dressed like a ninja. She had a bright white sweater on. So like immediately caught myself revising. I was like, I'm going to describe this story. This is something interesting to talk about. She was dressed so darkly. And I'm like, she had a fucking white sweater on. Stop it. But the idea that, your answer to the question is more interesting, because you felt empathy for the disenfranchised in that moment. And so what you were feeling was those people need someone to be better for them, and the only people that are in a position to be better for them are people that have that option, and that invited you upward to that plane is what I'm kind of interpreting.
Well, mostly it was just like I gotta make a lot of money, so my son's never in this fucking position.
Ah, okay.
Wow. But and you were what, 22? You said at the time. Mm-hmm. And so you said, I got to make this money. And did you? When was the decision to go to comedy? Like, were you already kind of leaning in that direction? Like,
Yeah, I always wanted to do it. You know, it was just a thing that I was interested in, but I didn't think it was a real job. And so I just was like, I knew I needed a career and not just a job. I was working at like this bank call center, and I hated it, and I knew that I couldn't stay there.
What part of town were you in?
In Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, and so, and do you start like doing open mics and like doing? Clubs?
Yeah, I started doing mics in Portland, and then there's this Chinese food restaurant in Salem that had this show. It's a place called Lucky Fortune.
I've been there. It's good.
Been there.
Yeah.
So they would do shows, and you get Chinese food, and the guy would sell bootleg movies after the shows, and it was just a good place for you to cut your teeth, you know.
Oh, it's like they had an open mic there.
No, it was just a show. It was a show, but it wasn't good, and so might as well. He'd always just lie and be like. I remember for years he was telling me that this I already forgot the name. No, this story's gonna be horrible, so never mind.
But what do you do? I'm curious. So you if you have that epiphany, it's your Buddha moment. You're like, okay, like my kid. If he slips through my fingers, he's going to end up a ward of people like this guy that you saw in the park. And so then you go, I got to do what I love, not just I got to go get a job managing a factory floor. Like it's about money, but it's also about following your bliss. So what does somebody young do when they decide they want to take comedy seriously? Like, what are your first steps? You're like sitting there with a manila, a legal pad and a pencil, or like describe those days.
Yeah, I would. I mean, back then I would like write out full scripts of my jokes and stuff, and I'd like go over them and try to memorize every word. And
did you you included people laughing in your head, like you're
yeah,
like, and then I'll pause, and then there'll be all this laughter. Is that?
Just hold for applause. Continue. And then I would even like fact check my jokes. 'Cause I would think like, oh, if someone hears this joke, they might call me out on the background, so I better know about this.
That's very for whatever that era was. It's probably a little overly responsible of you.
Yeah, no, I over prepare.
You were ready for today. Like back then, you're like, oh god, you're like vetting your stand up against the ears of 25 million angry people.
What was the threshold, Ron, from like being an open micer, and then like did you move to LA right away, or
No, that would have been a bad decision.
But the threshold from being like, I'm going to try this out, to going, oh, this is working, and like I'm now like you're headlining, you're being like top man.
I mean, it took a little while, you know. I was doing shows and just going around the country, and I had my friend Will who would drive us around in his mom's minivan, and we would go and do shows and book shows up and down Salem and other parts of Oregon and the Northwest. We would just go to different bars and just try to convince them to book a show and that we could bring an audience in. And we'd book one show, and then they realized that we could not. And so we would just continue and move on that way. And I did that for a couple years, and I just started getting better and getting more name for myself. And I would just...
So you were making deals. You were like Jim Hensoning it, like the way he like sold the Muppet Show in syndication. You were you didn't have an agent that was like, this here's Ron Funches, and I'm going to book you on this circuit. You're going to open for so and so if you pick them up from the airport.
You work in this business. I don't start with an agent. No, I had to book my own shows and a lot of my own.
But you were going to bars and convincing them to have a venue in the first place so that you could perform there, and then you were making a deal with them to like take part of the door. Or?
Yeah. Me and my friend, we kind of like was my business partner, and we just do that together. We go scout locations and just try to make deals. And I ran my own weekly show at a coffee house, and those were the most pressure filled days, because a lot of times that would be like, I was like, oh, I need to pass this hat around for money so that I can come home and bring my son and my ex home food and stuff. I wasn't making like any money at that time.